And in Abuja, the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Mr. Zainab Ahmed, says the right regulatory mechanisms should be put in place to support the growth of halal economy in Nigeria. The minister says it has a great potential opportunity and should be exported for growth purposes. Lara Afolayan reports.
Halal is of Islamic origin and means permissible. It basically connotes goods and services which includes but not limited to finance, drugs, food and clothing which are permitted for use by Islam. At this meeting, the authorities present the 2023 Halal market reports aimed at pushing up economic growth. The fiscal authorities say the sector is one of the fastest growing in the world and could help drive economic investments. They feel that though it is still developing in Nigeria, its prospects are highly promising and the right regulatory framework would help it thrive.
This report offers insights and recommendations to enable Nigeria to tap into its full potential of the halal market and to contribute to the growth of not only the Nigerian economy but also the global halal industry. On this note, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I want to again thank Dar Al Halal for this effort.
The finding of the Halal market report for Nigeria shows it is the second biggest consumer market for services on the continent. It also has potentials of driving huge economic growth in the next 4 years by $1.6 billion annually.
One of the largest global Muslim populations and building on its strong agriculture sector, Nigeria indeed has great potential to expand its halal market and contribute to the growth of the global halal industry while reaping immense benefits.
The halal market is expected to grow to $180 billion by 2027 and offers great opportunities for job creation, agriculture development, food processing, the film industry as well as logistics.
This presents a significant opportunity for businesses and investors to capitalize on the growing demand for halal products and services in Nigeria and contribute to the growth of the global halal industry.
The Nigerian public is told that the concept of halal isn't limited to Muslims alone, but the other faiths can be a part of it. African economies are also advised to take advantage of the opportunities the halal economy offers for economic growth and development. Lara Afolayan, TVC News, Abuja.
And in business news, the Nigerian Upstream Downstream Regulatory Commission says the federal government has concluded plans to explore alternative funding models for development of the country's oil and gas resources. The chief executive of the commission, Mr. Gbenga Komolafe, disclosed this during the opening ceremony of the Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria Pavilion and Exhibition Stand at the ongoing Offshore Technology Conference in Houston, United States. The 5-day conference is themed Energy Transition and the AFCTA, Key Reforms for Sustainable Development of the African Oil and Gas Industry. Mr. Komolafe says the need to develop the country's hydrocarbon resources requires huge funding, hence the decision of the Commission to develop alternative funding model for the industry. 8 African countries are part of the ongoing exhibition, adding that other African countries would join the conference. The Securities and Exchange Commission says it has blacklisted 6 online trading platforms and unregistered firms offering illegal investment and finance services. The Commission in a circular said the blacklisted firms were not registered and thus unauthorized to carry out such investment services. The affected firms include Prime Invest, FX Boxed, New Finance LLC, New FX Limited, among others. The Commission is urging members of the public to be cautious in dealing with the blacklisted firms. Earlier, recall that the Security Exchange Commission said that had warned against patronizing firms blacklisted by Italy's securities regulator, Consob. And in Oyo State, the government says it is ready to boost the state's economy by embarking on an aggressive and energetic global investment drive. The state governor, Mr. Seyi Makinde, disclosed this during the commemoration of the 2023 May Day jointly organized by the Oyo State Councils of the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress in Ibadan. He says his government has invested massively in reducing the state infrastructure deficit and its multiplier effect on the economy. He assures the prompt and consistent payment of workers' salaries to maintain and increase the economic wheels of the state while promising an accelerated development. Well, Asian shares wobbled in cautious trade today, while the dollar was firm ahead of a series of data releases and central bank meetings that begins with the Reserve Bank of Australia later in the day. MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan wriggled either side of flat and was last down 0.2% after tech and casino gains in Hong Kong proved short-lived. Mainland China markets were closed. Japan's Nikkei hit a 16-month high before backing off slightly with the bank sector drag. European futures rose 0.1% in Asia, while S&P 500 futures fell 0.1%. The S&P 500 closed flat, and analysts say markets' relief was evident. Following China's recovery and resilient growth in India, the International Monetary Fund has raised its growth forecast for Asia-Pacific. This comes as the rest of the world braces for slower growth from tightened monetary policy and Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In its May regional economic outlook, the organization predicts Asia-Pacific's gross domestic product will expand to 4.6% this year, which is 0.3%. Point higher than its forecast in October. The report also added that the regions will be predominantly driven by the buoyant outlook for China and India, contributing half of global growth this year. On a country basis, the organization raised its growth outlook for China, Malaysia, the Philippines, and Laos to 5.2%, 4.5%, 6%, and 4%, respectively. Australia's central bank stunned markets by raising its cash rate by 25 basis points when traders look for an extended pause, saying inflation was way too high and warned that further tightening may be needed to bring it to heels. Wrapping up its May policy meeting, the Reserve Bank of Australia raised rates to 3.85%, sitting at its highest since early 2012, bringing the total RBA hikes to 375 basis points since May last year, the fastest tightening campaign in the nation's modern history. Governor of the Apex Bank, Mr. Philip Lowe, noted that inflation in Australia has passed its peak, but at 7% is still too high, and it will be some time yet before it is back in the target range. And crude oil prices remained subdued today, pressured by data pointing to a slowdown in China's recovery and the second biggest bank collapse in the United States since the 2008 crisis. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude experienced a price decline of 0.65% to sell at $75.17 per barrel. Brent crude futures also experienced a downward price margin of 0.54% to sell at $78.88 per barrel. Bonny Light recorded an upward price review of 2.55% to sell at $79.71 per barrel. And for the OPEC basket, crude oil dealers are offering $78.40 per barrel with a downward price margin of 3.35%.